Hi everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul and this is the CM Stormtrooper computer case by Cooler Master. And upon opening the case we find, of course, an instruction manual here for our Stormtrooper. And here is the case itself. Here on the right side panel we can see a bowed out area that will allow for a little extra room with cable management. We also have some ventilation right here on the opposite side that will allow for increased airflow, particularly down here by where your hard drives are, and particularly for your video cards, which will be intaking air, primarily from the other side, but a little extra right there as well. Here on the front of the case, we can see our 5 1/4 inch bays. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. All of them have these clip things that will allow you to easily pop those bay covers off and back on. The entire case has almost a rubberized feel to it. This is metal and plastic, but they have really given this a nice finish. It's got a tactile feel, again a little bit rubberized, but very clean overall. Very nice looking feel to this case. Of course you get a nice looking CM Storm logo down there at the bottom. Up here at the top you have an X dock, which will allow you to quickly plug in a 2.5 inch drive. Up here on the top of the case we have a fan controller as well as a LED light controller there with a readout, which is covered by a piece of plastic, which I'm going to peel off. There we go. This is also the power button, which will have a light behind it once the power is turned on. Over here on the left side we can see a hard drive activity light as well as a power indicator light. We have a mic and headphone jack. We have 2 super speed USB 3.0 ports here on either side and 2 USB 2.0 ports there in the middle. Rounding it out for front panels we have an eSATA port there as well as a reset button. Moving on to the left side of the case, we can see a very long ventilation area again here to allow more air into the case for adequate cooling. We're going to talk about more details of that when we come back to the interior. Here at the back of the case, we can see we have a 140mm exhaust fan, some grommets here for routing water cooling hoses or cables, knockout there for your input-output shield. We have a full 9 PCI slots right here that will allow you for quad SLI or Crossfire X setups with the additional PCI slots. You also got this extra PCI slot right here that has the storm guard on it. You can route your cables through that in order to lock them down. So if you're at a mobile gaming event or that sort of thing, nobody can steal your awesome gaming mouse. Down here at the bottom is your power supply mount. And then while I'm here, I can also point out that there is a removable dust filter there for your power supply's intake. Pop that back in, and that rounds it out for the outside of the case, but also did want to show the top of it right there. So as you can see, more ventilation here, there, up at the top for exhaust, Trooper logo there, and then it's got this pretty cool rubberized handle grip. It's weighted in the center, so even though this is a fairly substantial case, it's not too bad to pick up, even if it was weighted down with equipment. That handle's in the perfect place so you can pick it up, carry it around, and move this case from place to place. Finally, for the exterior, let's take a look at the bottom. We can see there's plenty of space here for airflow through this long gap right here. Again, we have another removable fan filter there, and that's for optional intake fans that you can mount there at the bottom. And our feet for the case, all 4 of them have rubberized areas on the bottom to protect your desktop surface as well as reduce vibration. Here's another look at the right side of the case with the panel removed. This is where your cable management goes on. They have a huge cutout here for your CPU backplate, so for most aftermarket heatsink fans you will be able to access that without removing your motherboard. There are just a ton of cable tie downs at the top here, down the side, all along the back of the motherboard tray to allow for adequate cable management and tying those cables down wherever best suits your purpose. We have a couple more grommeted areas here at the top for your drives, as well as down here at the bottom for your power supply cables. And here you can see a lot of the cable management that they've started out for you, as well as the 3-pin leads for your fan controller at the top of the case, which they've already plugged in to the fans that are connected to the case and pre-installed. Up here at the front we can see the business end of our 3.5 inch bays. Nice and open there so you can access those to plug in your power and data cables. Before we move on, let's take a quick look at this little removable panel right here with the CM Storm logo, because behind it is a little removable toolbox. It is bolted on with 2 screws, but there you have it, little toolbox right under there. And in case you're wondering, there are some additional accessories in here, so don't think you got shortchanged if you get this case and you can't find out what goes where. We have a few items in here. One of them is a 8-pin EPS power extension cord, so you can easily reach up to your motherboard's 8-pin EPS power from your power supply. Of course, we have a bunch of black thumb screws as well as mounting screws for your various hardware, as well as some motherboard standoffs. We have some twist ties as well, and finally in this little pouch right here wrapped in paper are a couple 5¼ inch to 3.5 inch bay adapters, and that will allow you to use, for example, this little guy right here and mount a front panel 3.5 inch bay. Next up here, I am going to talk about our drive cages here, and they are pretty special with this particular case for a few different reasons. Now, unless we did some clever editing with the shot of the right side of the case, I might have said that there's a couple LED fans up in the front. Right now they are actually on the side, as you can see here, not on the front, but they can go on the front. These drive cages are both removable and reconfigurable, so by removing a couple thumb screws on either side, you can slide the drive cage out itself. And bear in mind that the fan here has 2 plugs for it. One for the LED that you can use to control with the top controls, and one for the fan power. But that drive cage inside has space for up to 4 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch hard drives. The case does include these in a separate box. You get 8 of them total, so you can have up to 4 of these in each little drive cage, and they just slide in and snap into place, as you've probably seen a lot of those do in the past. But the drive cage itself, as mentioned, is on a couple rails. So once I've removed it like so, you have a couple of these panels, and right now it's oriented so the drives can be inserted and removed from the opposite side or the right side of the case. By removing a couple more thumb screws, I can actually remove this little panel right here. And if I remove both of these panels, I can actually orient them that way so that the drive can be mounted, or the drive cage can be mounted from the front of the case. You can also, it also allows you to mount actual 5.5¼ inch drives in here as well. So pretty versatile here as far as all of the drives and drive mounting options that you have. If you're wondering why you actually get all of these 5.25 inch bay covers on the front of the case, it's because you can set this up with a whole lot of optical drives if you're into a lot of DVD duplication, that sort of thing. Or you can use these little mounts here to mount up to, as previously mentioned, 8 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch drives. And the configuration process, once you figure it out at least, is not too hard at all. And finally, let's take a look at the motherboard tray area of the case. We saw this from the opposite side, but here's a look from the actual working side. You can see they started off with a couple motherboard standoffs, but the rest are included in that drawer at the bottom that I showed you. Again, a completely painted black interior, and the paint job is very well done. I have not noticed any bare spots or anything like that. Down here at the bottom is the power supply mounts, the fan dust filter that we showed you below there. There's a couple strips of rubber here that the power supply will stand on to keep it free of vibration. Also here on the right side, if your 8 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch trays here aren't enough for you over in the drive area, you do have another 2.5 inch bracket right there that will allow you to fit 1, 2, 3, 4 more 2.5 inch drives. So for those of you who are going for a hardcore setup with maybe 2 or even more SSDs, you can fit those right in there. You can remove that as well to mount a 120 millimeter fan to have an additional fan intake there if you prefer that to the SSD mounts. Also, right up here we have a big bunch of cables, and since there's quite a few of them aside from the standard motherboard ones, let's just take a closer look. You do have lots of leads coming down here from the fan controller that you can plug your fans into to connect that to. There's one extra that you can connect this back fan to as well, if you prefer not to have that always on. You have a serial ATA lead here to plug in your 2.5-inch drive base slot there at the front. Actually, that's probably for the eSATA port, my bad. We also have a 20-pin USB 3.0 motherboard connector, so you can route that directly to your motherboard. No pass-throughs here. We have all of your typical motherboard, hard drive, LED, power switch, reset buttons, leads there. We have your USB header there for your USB ports on the front, HD audio, and then finally a Molex power connector, and that's to power the lights on the front of the case as well as the fan controller. And finally, if you're curious how that 2.5-inch hot swap bay works, it just has a pass-through backplane right there with a Molex plug and a SATA plug, so you can just plug in some power to that and then route a SATA cable down to your motherboard. And lastly, we'll do a quick video card length test in this one, just to give you guys an approximation. This is a 12-inch long video card, Radeon HD 5870, and it's coming up just a little bit past the grommets here, but there's still at least a couple inches of space, yeah, just beyond that. And that's with these drive cages still installed. So plenty of space here for your longer size video cards, especially including your cable management areas, which are still open. And just in case we forgot, here is a quick look at the additional removable dust filter that's there for the top of the case, so you can clean out your exhaust vents, and that feeds right in there. Easy to remove, easily accessible. And that's going to wrap it up for this video. Once again, this has been the CM Stormtrooper computer case made by Cooler Master. I'm Paul with Newegg TV, and if you enjoyed today's video, please head over to our Newegg YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe for more tech videos just like it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Newegg TV.